Mother is here. No one is to touch me. You understand?
Well, you're going to get out of the car in just a second.
You have
I will,
to
but
comply.
no one will touch me until my mother is here. That's understood. I'm 17 years old.
Sir,
Okay, and
how
stop
does
the
a
video.
normal child...
Now, he's making a deal that he's 17. Does that matter?
No, it doesn't matter legally. The officer's commands apply to him whether he's a juvenile or an adult, and he has no right to have a parent there first.
Right. Mother, not going to help you at this time. Do his rights change if he is 17? Jake?
To some degree, as far as questioning and detention, arrest, that sort of thing. But in this circumstance, he has to comply with the officer's orders as they're given.
That's the law. You have to do that.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep the tape rolling.
Go from I smell marijuana when I don't allow that kind of stuff into my car.
Just be quiet. I'm going to explain it to you.
Okay, well, explain it. Shut up, Brandon.
Until my mother is here, no one is touching me.
Okay, can you explain it to me now, sir?
Because I know
Yes, it is.
I know that's part of the law.
Sir, can you explain it to me now?
Considered on me.
Sir, can you explain it to me
no
now?
searches are considered on me until my
Am I
mother
being
is here.
detained?
Yes.
I am being detained?
Yes.
Well,
Am I under arrest?
No, you're being detained.
Okay, so I'm being detained for what?
For the smell of marijuana coming from your vehicle.
From my vehicle.
Okay,
What's
and let's stop the video. Now, she's asked the question, am I being detained? Yes. What's the difference? Why is that an important question for her to ask?
Well, once the police have detained somebody, the level of action that they can take and the rights that that person has start to differ, as opposed to just a regular traffic stop or something in that regard.
What's the difference between being detained and being under arrest?
Well, once you're under arrest, you have to be taken to a magistrate, first of all. Certain rights kick in terms of advisement of rights, Miranda warnings if it's a felony. But detention is a lesser level of investigation than an actual arrest.
And if she asks the question, am I being detained? And they say, no, you are not being detained, Jake, she can leave. She doesn't have to answer any questions.
Right, she's free to go.
Harvey?
I agree she's free to go, but at this point, I would say the passenger is not free to go because they focused on him.
Okay, let's keep the tape rolling.
smell of marijuana because there's no marijuana is not allowed in my vehicle, sir.
And keep your hands on the wheel.
My hands are on the wheel, sir.
Okay, and let's stop the video there. She's saying that the hands are on the wheel. That's important. She's doing something right. She knows she's got to keep the hands on the wheel.
Yes, this is a young lady who's either been on websites that advise these sort of things or her parents have taught her appropriately. She's at this point trying to be polite with the officers, and they're speaking at a normal level.
And Jake?
Yes, you know, for the officer's safety, he wants to see the hands of all the occupants in the vehicle because he has no idea who he has stopped, what they're involved in, what they're capable of.
And the interior lights should be on and the music should be turned off.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, let's keep the video going.
Please. I'll pick them up. I got them. I'll pick them up.
All right, listen to me. Here's what we're going to do. This is going to come forward. You are going to keep your hands visible at all times. Step out of the vehicle.
Are you a sergeant?
Until my mother is here, no one is touching me. Understood?
These are the same
Step
policemen
out
that
of the
pulled me over
vehicle.
last
Until my
time.
mother,
And
until
I need
my
your
mother is
sergeant
here.
present, sir.
Until my mother
I know
is
you
here,
don't
sir.
care right now.
Okay.
I'm not gonna-
Okay, look, I'm gonna step out.
I
Look,
would like
look.
your
I'm not
sergeant
sure I'm
to
a
be present
child.
right now.
All right, look, I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna get out.
Courtney, I want
It's
you to
all
record
on
it. I want
film.
you to
It's
record
all on
it. I want you to
film.
record it. Get the fuck off me, man.
Yeah!
Get this on video. Get this on video right now.
It's on video.
Hey, I'm saying to you, bro, stop. Stop it now. Stop it. I'm calling my mother. Stop it. I'm 17 years old. Stop it.
Okay, let's stop the video. Obviously, it's starting to escalate here.
It's escalating seriously at this point, yes.
Now, he gets pepper sprayed, okay? Was it necessary to pepper spray him? Jake? He's in the back of the car. He's cornered. He's not going anywhere. Did you need to pepper spray him?
The officer explained to him, here's what we're going to do. This is going to come forward and move the seat forward. You're going to keep your hands in plain view and you're going to step out of the car. He was uncooperative at that point. The officer needs to get him out of the car for the officer's safety and to ensure that any contraband that may be in the car from the smell of marijuana is not destroyed. So officers are taught multiple ways to extract people from vehicles. Some of them involve physical force. In this case, the officer chose to use pepper spray to incapacitate the individual and then get him out of the car. He could have done other things. It's not my judgment as to whether the officer was correct in this particular case. I'll leave that to Chief Severa's decision.
And it also looks like he's grabbing his head.
He's
hat.
he's shielding his eyes and rubbing his eyes because he's been pepper sprayed there.
Right.
You know, the point here with the officers is the more this young man refuses to get out of the car, the higher their reasonable suspicion is allowed to rise because there's something going on here. This constant yelling about being 17 and my mother 17. that's going to raise the level of suspicion that there's criminal activity afoot in the police.
He is not acting like someone who has nothing to hide, is basically
At
what
this
you're
point,
saying.
that's correct.
And when people get stopped, what should you do? Should you act like this?
Well, as the chief has said, no, you cooperate, you put your hands on the wheel if you're the driver, you turn on the dome lights, you turn off the radio. It should at this point be yes sir, no sir. Where are issues like this, when young people or anyone has issues like this, that's why we have courts. You're not going to settle this out on the street with the police officer.
And you're not going to win out on the street with a police officer, but if you're doing the right things when you're pulled over, you will possibly win in court later on.
That's exactly right.
Okay, let's keep the video going.
17 years old. I'm 17 years old. I'm 17 years old. I'm 17 years old. Stop it. Stop it, sir. I'm 17 years old. I'm 17 years old. Stop it now, sir. Sir,
Get out of the vehicle now.
sir, stop. Stop. Stop, sir.
Taser.
Stop, sir. I'm not doing
Taser. Taser.
Oh, oh,
Get out of the vehicle now.
Okay, and let's stop the video here. Get out of the vehicle now. Now, the officer, who's a human being, is starting to have his authority challenged. His voice is raising, getting louder. He tells him to get out of the car, won't get it, tases him. Should he have tased him? He's in the back of the car. He's already been pepper sprayed. Should he have been tased?
Well, this young man was not cooperating at all. There was clearly something going on that needed to be stopped. The whole situation is escalating, and the more it escalates, the more dangerous it becomes for the officers, because for all they know, this or any other defendant, just go boom! Just like that. They pull a gun out from under their seat, out of their belt, and that officer's dead, and it's happened many times in this country, almost just like that.
Jake, he's trained. He's telling him everything he's about to do. I'm going to tase you. I'm going to tase you. Why is that important? The officer is doing that.
Given the individual the opportunity to comply with his orders before that next level of force is applied. And this individual escalated from being passively resistant to physically deflecting the officer's attempts to grab him and pull him out of the car, which raises the officer's ability or need to raise his level of force.
Now, a lot of bad things are going on in this car for him. What about her? We don't really see her much. She's quieter. He's not.
Well, I don't know what the situation is exactly with her. She probably should have been removed, and the police are entitled to ask the driver to produce driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, and to get out of the car.
Now, does a passenger, if he's done nothing, does he have to give any identification?
There's no state law on that, but the city of Virginia Beach has an ordinance which makes it a misdemeanor. It carries up to 12 months in jail if you don't give the officer your name.
So you have to give the name and ID if you have it?
If you have it, yes.
And
well, everybody has a name, so yes, they have to give the name.
Right, but they have to give the name.
Yes.
So in Virginia Beach, they have to, it's an ordinance. Say this again, once again, it's an ordinance. What about that? It's an ordinance that you have to give your name.
Yes, it is. And so if you don't give your name, then you could be charged with that Class 1 misdemeanor.
So this is in Virginia Beach, and you have to give your name. So
You have to
people
give
who
your
say,
name.
oh, I don't have to give the police my name, in Virginia Beach, that's not the case.
And it may well be true in other cities and counties of Virginia. I just don't know that because that's not been my experience. But many states, 23 states in the United States, have laws that say that you must identify yourself if requested by the police.
And I have to ask you again, once again, this guy's cornered. He's not going anywhere. Why is this excessive force?
It's not excessive force because...
he's not going anywhere.
Well, we don't know what's going on in that car. They don't know at this point whether he has weapons. It's becoming more and more obvious that, and leading to probable cause, that there's criminal activity in this vehicle because of his unreasonable refusal just to get out of the car.
Jake, under the circumstances, should the police, at least at this point, have started asking if they have any weapons? This is obviously someone who's not cooperating.
As long as the officers can see the individual's hands, they don't need to ask that question. But you'll hear later in the video that they are asking or checking for weapons once they actually get him into custody.
They actually say, check and see if he has a weapon.
Right.
Okay, keep the video rolling.
Get up! You're gonna get it again!
all right.
Get out!
Please, I'm gonna get off. Stop. I'm gonna get off. Stop. Please, I'm gonna get off.
Get out!
I'm gonna get off.
Leave it, Cleo! I'm the ground.
I'm 17 years
Get
old.
on the ground. Get on your stomach. Get on the ground right now.
Okay, stop the video. Now, he said, you're going to get it again. I'm going to tase you again. Then he immediately did it. Should he have given him more time before he tased him again? Harvey?
I'm not sure about
Was
that.
it
because
necessary
I
to
can't-
tase
I
him
can't-
again?
I don't know because I can't see what his legs were doing. Was he trying to get out of the car? We heard him say all right, but he hasn't done anything they've asked him to do to this point at all. So that second one, I'm not sure about personally.
But he does say all right and then immediately gets
Well,
tased.
we don't know what he meant by all right. Was he actually trying to get out of the car? Was he responding to them? Because they're both yelling, and rightly, the officer's right to raise his voice at this point also.
Right, and Jake, says he's going to be cooperating, but so far hasn't cooperated at all.
Well, he never really says he's going to cooperate. You hear him say all right, but you don't know what that means. And like Chief Severa has said already, I too have some concerns about the second application of the taser, but I can't pass judgment on it because I don't know all the facts. All I know is what's been in the media and watching this video.
But the second one has raised some concerns.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't think that it amounts to excessive force because I don't think tasers are cumulative in their effect. Obviously, it's very painful. Nobody's questioning that. It is very painful. But is that a use of excessive force to effectuate what needed to be effectuated in this situation, which was de-escalate?
Okay, and now we're going to keep the keep the tape rolling here.
Stomach.
I-
Get on your stomach now.
He's saying get on your stomach.
Get your other hand behind your back. Get your hand out. Now.
Hands where I can
You're
see.
gonna get it again.
You're going to get it again.
Get your hand out.
All right, one cuff.
And he doesn't get it again, but you can hear the handcuffs
Right.
going on.
Doesn't matter at this point. Relax.
Relax. That's what he's saying. Relax.
They're
Isn't that your
de-escalating.
message? You need to relax when you get stopped by police.
Yeah, at this point, the officers are de-escalating the situation. They've got him under control, putting the handcuffs on him.
Let's keep listening.
Who's got it?
Okay, now, officers coming around here. I just saw an officer come around here. We're going to go to the next piece of video. And this is raising another question about cell phones. Everyone's got, here comes the officer. Stop the video right here. Okay, now look, there he is. The officer turns the cell phone off. Should you turn off the cell phone? Harvey, is he legally allowed to do that?
He's legally allowed to turn off the cell phone at that point. The United States Supreme Court says he can keep that in his possession to see if it's possible that it could be used as a weapon. They've recovered them with razor blades in them and all sorts of things. So the U.S. Supreme Court has said what he's done right here is all right.
Okay, but what happens next, we aren't sure. She claims, the person who was the driver and the one who has the cell phone, that he then deleted what was in there, and she only got it back because she retrieved it from trash, from the trash part of the cell phone. He didn't throw it away, the trash part of the cell phone. So let me ask this again. Now, okay, the next part is, the next part, he then deletes the video. He deletes the video. Is he allowed by law to do that?
Well, no, he's not allowed by law. I don't know that he's broken any laws. It may be in a case of destroying evidence, which would be a crime.
Let me back up. She now claims that he deleted the video. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, do we know that's true? Did he actually do that? But second of all, if he deleted it, then it may be considered an effort to tamper with evidence. It may be an attempt, because obviously it wasn't fully deleted, an attempt destruction of personal property, which also would be a crime.
And that's the part that the chief, Jim Cervera, has a problem with.
Yeah.
He was asked that question. Jake,
Yeah.
what do you think?
You know, if that happened, then clearly there's an issue that the chief's going to need to address. And I know he has a concern with that allegation, rightfully so.
Because the Supreme Court says that in order to go into someone's phone, you need to get a search warrant. Yes?
To see the information that's in there, yes, you now, since the summer of last year, nationwide, police have to get search warrants to get information off a cell phone, unless it happens to be on and, you know, you pick it up and see the weather. But yes, they have to get a search warrant.
But if this proves to be true and he deleted it, we know that he went into the phone without getting the search warrant, and that's the legal
Well, he didn't
problem.
know. The Supreme Court's concern was that they were gathering evidence and seeing into people's personal lives. They related today's cell phone to being like a diary. or a mini computer that contains an awful lot of private information that the police wouldn't be entitled to see.
Right. So, are we saying that if he's got the phone, he turns it off, we know that, he then, according to her, deletes it, is that a protected thing to do under the United States Constitution?
I don't, again, it's tampering with or destroying evidence and attempted destruction of personal property. So, did he need a search warrant to delete? I would think the court would say, no, you don't need a search warrant to delete, but he's still got these other issues because he's deleted.
Okay, let's go to the next thing. Anything else you all want to add? Okay, this happened in South Carolina. We know what happens here. Let's go ahead and take this. Let's roll this video. Now he gets out of the car. Officer tells him, get back in the car. He then gets out and he runs away. Now, we're going to stop it here before we go to the next part. He runs away from police. Are you ever allowed to run away from police? Is it illegal to run away from police?
It's not illegal unless you have knowingly committed a felony, and then they can pursue a fleeing felon. In this case, the officer appears to have still been under some investigatory procedures about the status of the car. Can you physically run? It's not against the law to run from the police, but it's a very, very bad idea because it raises their suspicions. You have then raised the level of what was going to be just a normal, calm investigation to what is going on here. It's never a good idea to run from the police.
It's safe to say for you and for you that you never run from the police because things can only get worse after that.
It's only going to get worse.
Bad idea.
Remain calm at the scene. Don't run away. Know what your rights are and fight it in court.
That's where these things are settled, not on the street, but in court. That's why we have them.
And you also have the administrative citizen complaint process with the agency if you have a complaint about the officer's behavior.
Okay, let's keep the video running. We know what happens next. A man is running away from police. He fires. Jake, former Chief, Virginia Beach Police. What do you think about this?
Well, it's sickening to watch. There's no indication on the video that we've seen, no indication from the news accounts that the officer believed that this individual was armed or presented a danger to himself or to the community. No evidence whatsoever that lethal force was authorized in this case.
Harvey, former prosecutor.
Well, as a prosecutor, one of the things that I noticed, first of all, in terms of whether he thought this man was a danger, was that he approached the body with his gun down to his side rather than at the ready, which is what you would do if you thought this was a dangerous individual who might be armed. I obviously, with the chief and everybody, every decent law enforcement officer in the country sees this as an atrocious act.
It gives police a bad name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that has led to a lot of the hysteria around this country dealing with police and the treatment that they give to people in the community.
Right.
Yes,
This does not help the police cause.
It does not. It's still a very, very small number, but this is pretty cut and dried.
Let's let the video roll. Go ahead. Now, he's running back. Okay. Officer's running back. He picks up something. It's believed, according to the family, he picked up the taser that they say they were fighting for. He comes back and, right here, throws something on the ground. The family says it's the taser, planting evidence. Jake, this is trouble.
It's hugely troublesome. It's just a culmination of bad acts on the part of the officer.
Right here.
Yes.
I mean, we're seeing it, if we are seeing what we are believing, the planting of evidence right here. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No.
No, and to have it on video, but it doesn't matter whether that's a taser or whatever it is. He is contaminating a crime scene no matter what he's dropping there. If it's the taser, then that's going to light up the jury when it's time for his trial.
And the officer charged with murder. These are some of the reasons why. Okay, let's go to the next piece of video. All right, this happened in Portsmouth. Suspect in this car takes police on a high-speed chase. We won't go into the details of what was going on, but gets out of this car, runs into the house. Police run into the house after him immediately without a search warrant. Harvey, is that okay?
Well, there's been a hot pursuit here, and the law actually uses the word hot pursuit, and they are allowed to follow into the house without a search warrant people that they were in hot pursuit of. I think we do have to say that the police are saying that earlier they observed what they thought may have been a drug deal going down. They also need to go inside this house for the protection of whoever else might be in there, because since he's fleeing from the police, their first thought may be that this is going to turn into a hostage situation if there are other people in this house. Do they know whether it's his house or not, and does that matter? Legally, no. They can still go in to pursue him.
He ends up with a gun inside. Jake, one of the issues that have been brought up, Brian Jones, Norfolk. Guy runs into the house, comes out with an AK-47, opens fire. Brian Jones, officer, wonderful man, gunned down. The reason why you go into the house is to keep your eyes on the suspect to make sure he doesn't come out because you don't know what he has inside.
That's right. You're concerned about weapons, you're concerned about destruction of contraband. If you don't know whose house this is, are you dealing with a potential hostage situation where he's just gone into a house at random versus his own house? My guess is the officers probably did not know whose house this was. So they were certainly within their rights to continue the pursuit in there and attempt to take custody of him.
Okay, let's let the video roll here. This is the soundbite. Let me set this up first.
While he was with me,
Let me set this up first. Okay, this is a young man who has been stopped by police. Okay, this is a young.
Yep, I just reviewed
Yep, I got it. This is a young man stopped by police. He's talking about how everything went fine because he did what he was supposed to do while the policeman was doing what he was supposed to do. Let's see what he has to say.
And while he was with me, I made sure my hands were on the steering wheel. I made sure to speak very politely, as I always do. I did what he told me to do. I handed him the information, and I sat there and I waited, and I turned my music down. He gave me a warning, and I was about my way. Now, the point of this is to say that I am an African-American male. This gentleman was Caucasian. There were no problems. He did his job. I did what I was supposed to do, and that was it. I feel like people need to understand that not all officers are crooked. Not all officers are racist, bad people, and not all people who get shot or tased or arrested by officers are innocent victims. Just because you're black doesn't mean you're a victim. Just because you're white doesn't mean you're a racist. Just because you're a cop doesn't mean you're a bad person. This world really needs to stop putting labels on people and things and see them as who they are. People doing jobs, doing things. Ignorance has no color. God doesn't see color. Why should we?
Jake, you recently wrote a letter to the editor talking about not all police are bad. Is this what you're talking about?
This is the kind of incident that happens all around this country hundreds of thousands of times every day and night. These types of encounters between officers and citizens. This is the norm.
The police are not bad simply because they are the police. Harvey?
That's the message that's here, and he's a fine young man. My first thought is he has great parents and probably a great pastor somewhere who has given him these thoughts and ideas, which are absolutely correct. Every parent of every race, color, and creed needs to talk to their children about how to deal with the police, to be cooperative. If you've got an issue with it, that's why we have courts. And he sent that message to his own age, which is a wonderful thing to do.
Police have rights, people have rights. You have a problem with the police rights and you think they've been doing something not right, you go to court and you fight them there.
You go to court or you make a citizen complaint with the agency.
Now, Harvey, you said you've never, help me, you've never tell that.
In 40 years of doing this, I know of no case, never heard of a case, where the police shot or used excessive force on a cooperating person. It's not going to happen. All these instances we see, but for the one in South Carolina, obviously, and there are clearly others, but for the most part, if you're going to if you sit in your car like this young man did, yes sir, no sir, here's my license, all those other things, please get out of the car, yes sir, get out of the car. It's all going to end fine. It's all going to end fine.
Jake, what do you want to say? How come police as a occupation have found themselves under fire like they have in America? You've written about it.
Well, the proliferation of cameras, cell phones with video cameras, captures a lot of these things that have happened, and they draw the attention. But what doesn't get the attention is the day-to-day positive interactions, the heroic actions by police officers all over the country, interactions like this that are completely norm and end up with both parties walking away happy. This young man got a warning for the traffic offense that he was stopped for, and he's sent on his way.
Has the training changed from what you've heard? You were retired a few years now, but has the training changed? Hey, you know what? The landscape's changed. Everyone's got a phone. They're taking videos of you. You need to act differently. You need to be more careful, cautious. Don't come off looking too aggressive.
I'm sure.
Be right.
Yeah, be right, and that part hasn't changed. That's been the mantra in law enforcement training as long as I've been involved in law enforcement. But there has been some changes, and officers are aware that people have cameras and that they're often, if not always, on camera. And officers themselves are now starting to wear body cameras so that they can capture the actions of the other party, and it protects the officer and the citizen. And it serves as a de-escalation in itself. When somebody sees the officers wearing a camera, their behavior will change, obviously change to the better.
It's kind of, it just popped into my mind, it's kind of like a check and balance. You've got your video, we're going to have our video too.
Right. That's right.
I think the cameras on officers are going to increase citizen confidence that what they have done is right. It's going to prove that they do their jobs on an average daily basis in the correct way, in a safe way, to protect the citizens of this Commonwealth and of the country.
Jake?
I agree.
Where do we get police and communities back on the same page? How do we turn this around? Do we turn around? These cases are popping up all over the country. You bring up Jake, very small, minuscule amount of overall incidents. How do we?
Well, and while it is a minuscule amount, every one of them is hugely troubling, because the high publicity that they get paints the whole profession in a bad light. There's got to be more communication, more transparency, openness, and dialogue between community members and law enforcement.
What is 10 on your side doing this? Is this helpful to get out both sides?
I think it's very helpful, and I hope a lot of people take a look at this and consider talking to their children and what they themselves, adults, need to do when confronted by the police.
Has 10 on your side impacted this? Are we on the right track here?
Well, I certainly hope so. You have the former police chief of the largest city in Virginia, huge force of officers out there, and as Commonwealth Attorney, I can tell you the number of any kind of event like this that we had in the 14 years that I was there was very small considering the size of our population and the size of our police force.
Last thing, you want people to walk away from this 10 on your side broadcast?
That the police are out there to help us. They have their own concerns. They're human beings. I want to point out that a very large percentage of the police officers who get shot in this country get shot during a traffic stop. That's not Harvey Bryant. That's surveys and statistics that have been done. So it's sometimes a nervous situation for them, and they need to be able to see our hands and know that we're not going to reach for weapons and that we're going to be cooperative.
Jake, you get the final word. What do you want people to walk away from this 10 on your side broadcast?
There are upwards of 100,000 official documented encounters between police and citizens in Virginia Beach annually, between arrests, calls for service, traffic stops, summonses. And then there are tens of thousands of more, countless more, that are undocumented, just casual interactions. And the number of complaints against officers is very low, and the number of incidents like this around the country is, again, a minuscule number. They need to be addressed, no question about it. Justice needs to be served, and the South Carolina incident is just simply horrific. But it's the exception and not the norm. The norm is officers doing great work to protect our communities every day and night, 24/7, while we are at home asleep in our beds.
Jake, thank you very much. Harvey, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.